Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to combine a photograph that you've edited along with a piece of text. So let me just show you. So I've combined that photograph with that letter, and let's just that, and then eventually I've ended up with that design on a white background and an alternative where there's a black background. Okay, so let me just clear all that away. And then show you how to do that from the start. So first thing we need to do is go to File and New, and I'm going to create a square which is 10 centimeters by 10. I'm going to make it the resolution of 300, and it's going to be 300 pixels per inch, and I'm doing that because I've saved my original photo after I've edited it. I've saved that as a resolution of 300 pixels per inch. So if you're going to combine a photograph, with something like this, with a piece of text, and you want it to be compatible, then you need to just double check that you are saving it at the same resolution, and be really careful. I always say save it at 300, and then just be careful that you're doing it, the pixels per inch, or you can change it to kind of centimeters. Okay, but we'll go pixels per inch. Sometimes when you open this dialog box, it won't have centimeters, it might have things like pixels instead. So make sure it says centimeters, okay? And then what I might do is go onto my magnifying glass and then just make it just a little bit smaller, okay? And I'm going to right click on the background layer and just duplicate it. And then I'm going to go on to my text icon here, draw a box, and then I'm going to make it quite a big point. So here, probably used to this, having all the different points, but if you want to select your own point, then you just click in this dialog box. I think what I'll do is I'll probably make it 200, and then what I want you to do is just choose a letter from the alphabet that you think has got quite nice aesthetic qualities. I do like Q's, maybe G, something like that. A is quite nice. B, something. Don't just go for an I or a T. Have something with a bit of character to it. So let's see. I'll probably go for a B. Okay, it's up to you if you want to go lowercase or uppercase. It's completely up to you. And then what we're going to do at that point is just tick and say, yeah, that's fine. And you might then choose a particular size or placement, and then afterwards you think, oh, I'm not happy with that, I need to do more to it. So what you would then do is, go onto your drag tool and go to edit, and you can go to free transform or transform. Here you can transform the scale, or you can rotate it. If you go to free transform, you can do the lot. So let's go to free transform, and it's really important that you hold down the shift key when you do this, okay? Because if you don't, you'll just skew it. So, or you'll just change it out of proportion. So if you don't want to change it out of proportion, then hold the shift key down, and then you can start to then alter the scale to what you want. So what we're looking for, this is a tutorial about combining images and text, but also it's a sort of exercise in composition and placement. So you've got two things going on. You've always got to be thinking of the positive and the negative space, where the positive space sits within the kind of frame, and sort of what shapes it's making really, and what the balance is like. So you can move it over to here. Obviously then be careful here, so again hold down the shift key. You can move it around. It should sort of be recognisable as the letter, but I think you should be quite bold with it as well. You can, you know, get rid of a lot of the letter, but you should still be able to recognise what it is. Okay, so it's up to you how much of the letter you want to cut off and where you want to place it. Now, if you move my finger's off the shift button now, so I'm not holding that down at all. It's just on the mouse. If you hold the cursor on any of the corners, they'll turn into this kind of little double-edged arrow, and then you can kind of move it around. And again, if you go into the center, you can still keep moving it around. So that's completely up to you. So I might as well just leave it like that when I'm happy with it. Just going to tick that. Okay. And then at this point, what I would do is I'd go to layer and flatten the image. And again, I'd go to image and image size, and I would just make sure that everything's fine, 10 by 10, and then the resolution's 300 pixels per inch, so I would okay that. And then file and save as, and then call it whatever you want. So I'm going to do a black and white B. I'm just going to save it to the desktop for the minute, and I'm going to save it as a JPEG. So in your format box, there'll be lots of different options, but just go for JPEG and save. Okay. And what we're going to do is close that. And now I'm going to bring in the architecture photograph that I edited in the first place. So just grab that in. If I check this for image size, you can see that the resolution is 300 pixels per inch. So you know that the image that you've just done with the B, with the text and the B, or whatever it is that you're doing, and the photograph that you're going to use with it is going to be compatible, because you saved both at exactly the same resolution. Okay, so you can always check that by going to image and then image size. And then what you're going to do is you're going to know on my computer, because it's slightly older, I've got a slightly older version, it just says place. But on your computer, it'll say place embedded. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to go to place embedded. And then let's have a look. Black and white B, which is what I've just done. And I'm going to place that. Okay, and then you can see that it's completely compatible. So you're going to tick that. Then you're going to go to opacity and move that down so you can start to see the design through the letter. Then you're going to go to your background layer. Make sure that it's the bottom on the background that's highlighted. Go to the rectangle marquee tool, draw a box around that. Okay. Go to edit, transform and scale, and then holding down the shift key, grab one of the corners, and then you can start to shrink the image. Now I've taken my hands off the shift button, so I was holding down the shift button when I was reducing the image, and now I'm not holding down the shift button anymore because I want to move it. And what you need to do is look for quite a sort of good design cutting through the shape of the letter. Okay, at the minute there's going to be nothing here, that's going to be completely empty, so let's move it across there. It's still a bit small, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold down the shift button again just to make sure it's covered, and then I'm just sort of looking to see, I mean there's not too much sky, there's a little bit here, but it's mostly covered with that part of the design, and there's a lot of detail in that design, so that's good, it's going to make it look interesting. When you're happy with that, you tick it, and then you can go back to your top layer, and then if you hold down Command and D, that's going to get rid of your little box. So we call them marching ants, those little sort of flashing dots. So that's gone. Opacity back to 100. Onto the crop tool. In here, because you started off with 10 by 10, then just put in, if it doesn't say 10 by 10, then just, obviously you can just type that in. So say something else, but what you want is to have 10 by 10. Try to get it as close as you can to your original white box and tick. Okay. And then at this point what you need to do is go to your layer mask, which is this little icon here. So it's that little sort of white rectangle with a little grey circle inside it. Click on that. And then you'll have this little frame, so you need to click inside the frame to make it active. And see these two little boxes, little squares here, you've got to have black on the top box. So if you've got black on the bottom box, you can just click here, you see, and that will swap them. And if you don't have black in either of these two boxes, you just click on the top one and then you just select it here. And then the next stage is to go onto your quick selection tool. So this is this little icon here. It might have it. You might see like a little magic wand instead. So it's either the magic wand or it's going to be the quick selection tool. So just go for the quick selection tool, click and drag. Okay. And what that's done is kind of outlined the B shape. Go on to your paintbrush. Now if the opacity is not 100, say the opacity is down here, 24, 25, whatever, it's not 100. When you start to paint through, it look a bit faded. So if this is happening and you're wondering why your photograph underneath isn't showing through really clearly, you need to just check what the opacity is. So if we move that to 100, just move the flow up a bit, and now we do it, you see it'll come through at 100%. Okay, and again, to get rid of these little marching ants, these little sort of flashing boxes, it's Command and D. And so you might just think, okay, I'm really happy with that. I really like the look of the photograph against the white background. Or you might think, actually, I prefer it. I might like it to be maybe a shade of grey or black. I think what I would do, I would just layer and flatten the image. Probably right click and duplicate it. Okay. and then back to your quick selection tool, click and drag. Now can you see here, it hasn't recognised the outline of that bottom of the beads, kind of follow this line instead. So Command and D to get rid of it, and then start again, but maybe just do it in sections. So it's up to you. What you can, there's a couple of ways. You can just simply brush it in. So maybe I won't go for black. Maybe what I'll do is, I might go for a grey or something like that. So yeah, so you can simply go to your paintbrush and then paint it in. D. And then I suppose if you wanted to, you can just do all the little different sections. So back to your quick selection tool. See if it picks up. Yep, it's a bit better. Oh, actually, slightly, can you see it's not quite right there? So I'm going to Command and do that. Let's see if I try from this side. So I'm slowly dragging it. What I might do is I'll do most of it, and then I'll just go in and do that with a magnifying glass. What I might do actually is just go in here, maybe for a sort of lighter grey. You don't have to. I quite like, I mean, with these ones you just get a you know, straightforward flat background, but I was thinking whilst I'm doing this, I might as well just see what it looks like. So you don't want to go too close to see where the line is there. So I'm just going to do Command and D, go back to my magnifying glass, onto the plus, and then go back to my quick selection tool and see if it will, no, it won't pick it up. Okay, so the other thing you can do if that happens, actually just make the, I'll just try and make the brush a bit smaller and see if that might do it. No, okay. So what we can do is, so look, we go to the lasso, we can go to polygon, you can just click here, here, and what I'm doing is I'm clicking and I'm dragging, and I'm joining it up. Okay. And then if I go back to the brush, and then Command and D, and then back to magnifying. So I mean, you only need to do that if there's a sort of troublesome bit. Okay, and then I think what I might do is just finish those two pieces off. So I think what I'm going to do here is brush that in. Command and D, and then this is the last little bit here. Okay, and so it's up to you how you want to structure it. Looking at that now is a bit too much. I think it probably would have looked better if maybe we kept that as grey and maybe everything else is black. But it's completely up to you. But it is an exercise in composition and dividing up space, but also it's learning skills, because later on the course you will be needing to use like a layer mask. Okay, right, and so finally I'm just going to go to layer, and I'm going to flatten it, and I'm going to go to file and save as. Okay, and then I don't know, image B. I'm going to save on my desktop for now. You can save it into your Apple Cart on your desktop and then move it in, save it as a JPEG, and save. Okay, and that's the end of this tutorial.